where does Baker go if he's not in Cleveland? Who's going to pick him up, right? Who else is going to pay him that kind of money? I don't know many teams looking for obviously a subpar quarterback or average quarterback to pay him, top dollar, man. So I think his options are limited as well.
Hard to believe, but 2 weeks left in the NFL regular season. We got a whole lot of Green Bay and Brady and the Cowboys. Wow. Let's go Dallas and the rolling Chiefs. But as we start big man bets with the Hall of Famer Orlando Pace and the 7-time Pro Bowler Nick Mangold, we want to give a little tribute to John Madden, who passed away yesterday, 85 years old. And listen, for me growing up, 3 o'clock Sundays, Summerall, Madden, the Alcoa Fantastic Finish, the Turducken. The guy was the greatest. Orlando, what do you think about John Madden? What comes to mind for you?
For me, it was really educating the fan base on. For me, being an offensive lineman, he always seemed to point out offensive line play in the trenches, whether it was footwork. I know there was a couple games with me just talking about footwork, hand placement, and I think he educated everybody because everybody, other than every other broadcaster, always discussed the skill positions in terms of quarterbacks, receivers, defensive backs, whatever it was. Coach Madden had an opportunity to really dig in the trenches and make it easier and educate guys. So you knew if he was calling your game, you better play well, or he'll make some joke and make it really lighthearted about how you play, but talked about the technique of the game a little bit, obviously with the telestrator and drawing different things. So it was always a joy to watch. Like you, I remember watching those games and, all those, the sayings, the boom and things like that, and using that telestrator. It was really fun to watch, and I don't think anybody can duplicate what he did. Although many have tried, John Madden is an icon of our sport, and we're really fortunate to have him be a part of the NFL.
Yeah, it was for me. Madden was more of the video game era, and growing up with learning all these guys' names just because they were in the video game, and seeing being a part of that. I do remember the turkey legs. I always thought that was a cool thing on the Thanksgiving games. But I mean, his legacy is unbelievable between what he did as a coach, and then going into broadcasting, the way that he had his handprint on the NFL is something special. And so, seeing the tributes pour in from, even people, casual fans, not fans at all, to the diehards, it's been nice to see what his legacy has meant to this game.
Did you play the Jets on Madden? Is that your go-to?
That was my go-to. No, so once I started playing in the NFL, I think Madden kind of went away a little bit. I think that was more of a college, grade school thing. I remember playing the first Madden that I owned, I played on a PC. And so using the arrow keys, and I think I want to say it was it Jason Sehorn was my guy. So I think it was like Madden 2000 or 99, or the Rams too, greatest show on turf. Like, it was one of those things. Like, I remember sitting in our basement, that's where our home computer was, and just bashing away on the keyboard, trying to get those extra yards before even having a PlayStation or Xbox or any of those things.
Orlando, were you a Madden gamer?
I was, man, in college. Just kind of, I played a little bit, but obviously when you get to the pros, you don't play as much. But one of the things I did enjoy, my kids still play, and my kids probably retired me because obviously I was, when they were younger, I'm kicking their butts. And then once they start beating me, I just retired from the game, man, because they spent way too much time on it. And I was like, dude, I can't let my kids be talking trash around the house. So I think they retired me at an early age in my career, my Madden football career. But I always used to go, Madden, and check out my lady, no matter what. And then we used to always have, whenever I saw him or some of the creators of the game, man, why am I need my ratings higher, man. So why is my speed at a 75? I need to be like a 90 or something, man. So I would always give him trouble just about the rating. Obviously with NFL players, that's a big thing. You want your rating to be as high as it can be.
Well, RIP to one of the all-time greats. And, he's connected to, if you're around my age, like you're in your 40s, you remember him from your childhood. And then for kids today, you're connected from the gaming. And it's just, at some point, somehow you're always, football fans are, and everybody's connected somehow to John Madden. So it just wanted to start the show honoring one of the all-time greats today. Let's look at two all-time greats as we get going on the field. Look, the MVP race right now, it looks like it's going to Aaron Rodgers. And I think we're going to have a collision course here, hopefully, at least from my perspective, Brady versus Rodgers in the NFC playoffs once again here. The question is, does Aaron have almost more to lose than Brady does to gain here? I mean, if the Packers lose again, does this kind of just take away everything that the Packers did this year and everything that Rodgers has done? Or, Nick, how are you looking at this? Because this is a big time moment, at least in my mind, for Aaron to really stamp himself.
Yeah, I think when you look at what Aaron's done over his career, he's had a fantastic career, but he only has the one, and we say only, he only has the one Super Bowl win. You can stack up the MVPs and get those things. But when you compare it to Brady with the amount of Super Bowls he's won, with the MVPs and everything, I think it definitely means a ton more to Aaron than it does to Brady. This is for Brady. I mean, shoot, you just kind of throw it in the pile. Like it's another stuffy that you have for the kids. Like they don't even notice what they are anymore. It's just another teddy bear. So for Aaron, it means a ton. I think the MVP would be great for him personally, but I feel like Super Bowl for him, as he's getting closer to the end of his career, has to be the ultimate priority. To be able to say that he won multiple Super Bowls, I think would be huge for his legacy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when you're talking about his legacy, what means more, obviously the championships. When you look at all the great quarterbacks of their era, Peyton Manning, obviously Tom Brady, all those great quarterbacks has won multiple Super Bowls. And for everyone to say Aaron has this remarkable talent at quarterback and his arm talent, everything that he's done, to only have won one Super Bowl in an era where so many great quarterbacks have won multiple Super Bowls. And at the end of the day, when they look at his legacy, man, he was a good quarterback, but Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, all these guys won multiple championships and MVP. So I think at this stage of his career right now, winning a Super Bowl in a good fashion, he still has some years left in him. So he want to get as many opportunities under his belt to win a championship. And this year is probably his best year to win a championship. You can't go out to Tom Brady, especially it looks like they're going to have home field advantage in Green Bay. No way do you let Tom Brady come to Green Bay and beat you. I think that will hurt his legacy big time.
Orlando, if you're picking the game, let's say it happens, Bucks, Packers, playoffs 2021, who are you taking?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. And I think, the history has shown us, don't bet against Tom Brady. He's just been there too many times. He knows what it takes. But ultimately, I think it comes down to health. Who's the healthiest? I know they've lost a couple pieces on their team, but his preparation and what he's done over the last 20 years, it's hard for me to bet against him.
Nick, they're kind of eking by the Packers. Their special teams have been brutal. Defense has given up some points, but they're winning games. How do you look at Green Bay versus Tampa?
I mean, it's a tough call, especially, I think the big play that's going to come into it is Green Bay have the home field advantage. If Tampa Bay has to go to Green Bay, you get one of those games where, like when the Giants are playing there, you get Tom Coughlin with the bright, red face. He's frozen to death. I don't know if Tampa Bay is ready for that. I know Tom would be ready. he's done it, he's experienced it. But the team as a whole, I don't know if they'd be able to handle that situation. So I think the home field advantage is going to play a big part in it. And I think Aaron has this chip on his shoulder this season. And I think there's something about that. And so while special teams hasn't been holding up and the defense, it was strong, and it's since, had a little downfall, but I think can recover. I think, Green Bay is a very dangerous place to have to play. And so I hate betting against Tom. I've lost multiple times betting against him, just hoping that he doesn't get the win. But for this one, I feel like this year it's kind of set up more for Aaron Rodgers than it is for Tom Brady.
Who is the best of the rest, or maybe even on the level of, if you want to go that far, with Green Bay and Tampa in the NFC? Do you put Dallas up there, the Rams? Nick, how do you size it up here as to, when you're ranking the NFC right now? Who do you put Dallas and LA on that same level?
No, I don't think they're on the same level, but they're definitely true competition. Dallas showed that they can take care of business when they needed to this past week. And the Rams, have all the firepower they need, especially if Matthew Stafford's playing at his level. So they're definitely up there. I think the Cardinals still, they have the pieces. I think the inexperience is going to hurt them. But, they might be able to sneak a win here or there. So, it's still interesting to me, the NFC. I know that it's a Bucks, Green Bay division, but there's still some teams in there, especially Dallas. I like Dallas that can come in and kind of surprise the team and kind of shock a little bit. So I think the NFC playoffs are going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, for me, I think when you look at what both Dallas and LA is doing, they have enough talent on the field. The question is, can they play? I like what Dallas is doing. Their defense has really stepped up big time. Anytime you can get to the quarterback without blitzing with your front four, guys are getting healthy. That always poses problems for opposing offenses. And the Rams are coming into their own again. I think they're finally getting used, new guys in the system. Getting Odell Beckham, back into the system, going to Minnesota and winning the game on the road like that was huge for their confidence. So I think those two teams, depending if they're healthy and playing the best football that they could play, they pose a major problem, not only to Tampa, but to Green Bay too.
Let's do a yes or no. Dallas is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, Orlando.
Yes. I know the Dallas faithful will be happy I said that, but they look like a complete team with a lot of talent.
I agree. Yes, they do. Defense is playing well. You got Dak, you got Zeke run the ball. So I think they're definitely up there in the potential to win the Super Bowl. Will they win it? I don't know, but they definitely have the potential.
Okay, Big Man Bets singing the Cowboys' praises after crushing the Washington football team on Sunday night. By the way, I did bet the Washington football team. That did not work out well for me at winbet.com. All right, and we're going to get to Nick's gambling life in a little bit here, but let's flip to the AFC. I want you guys to take some quarterback questions on here, and we're going to start with Pittsburgh. I think we all think it's the end of the line for Big Ben, amazing career, Hall of Famer. Nick, who do you think quarterbacks, if you were in charge here, how do you think the Steelers will play this? Who quarterbacks that team next year?
I don't know. This is going to be interesting to see. The Steelers pride themselves on this old school organization. It's a family style organization. The longevity, they've only had 4 head coaches. The quarterbacks stick around for a long while. So it's going to be interesting to see, do they try to go all in and trade for somebody and get someone who's not at the tail end? We're talking like Deshaun Watson, who is still in his prime, or Russell Wilson. But can you build long-term around those guys? And that's intriguing. Do they start with they go to the draft and hope for a rookie? I just don't see where – I'm intrigued to see how this plays out, because I feel like we hold Pittsburgh in the upper echelon of organizations, and they do things the right way. They find the players and they make the players work with what's available, or potentially available, and then with the draft. What route are they going to take? And I just don't see. They have so many other issues going on. Big Ben, he is at the tail end of a storied career, but their run game hasn't been anything, and their O-line has been hurting. The defense has been up and down. So they have a lot of issues, and finding a franchise quarterback is probably the hardest thing to do in the NFL. And I'm intrigued to see which way they go.
Yeah, for me, I'm probably making 3 calls. My first 3 calls, first to Green Bay, to Aaron Rodgers' agent, just to pique his interest to see if that's something he would love to do. And then I'm going out to Seattle, calling to Seattle, see if we can make a trade with Russell Wilson. And then, last but not least, I'll probably go down to Houston and try to see if I can get Deshaun Watson. The tough part about the AFC North is there's so many good young quarterbacks there where you got Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. You have to get somebody to compete. If you try to go out with a rookie, and the quarterback class this year is, from what I heard, is a really weak year for quarterbacks. I think the most important part, you make those 3 calls and pique their interest. But my number 1 target would be Aaron Rodgers, because he's unhappy in Green Bay. And I think the only way he stays there is if they win a championship. But if they don't win a championship, I think he's going to be looking to go elsewhere. So I would make a call to those 3 places to see the peak interest, but I think Deshaun Watson may be the answer there.
My concern I just don't see Pittsburgh doing the Aaron Rodgers thing, because you get him for 2 years. Like, that doesn't seem we always talk about the Patriot way, but that doesn't seem like the Pittsburgh way to try to go in. I do think Deshaun Watson being on the younger side, where you could build around him for a long time. So I'm going to get you on this one, Orlando. I just don't see the Aaron Rodgers. I don't see Pittsburgh doing that. And maybe I hold Pittsburgh to a higher level than I should. But it seems out of character for them.
Let's move over to Cleveland. What do we think happens with the Browns, Orlando? They're going to double down, triple down on Baker. You just gave him a little bit of love there, but I don't know if they're going to give him that much love, and maybe the Browns are looking to do something creative.
Yeah, I think I'm calling Russell Wilson out in Seattle, trying to get Russell Wilson. Hopefully they're exploring their options now in terms of talking to quarterbacks. I think those same 2 guys are in play, Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would go there, but and then Baker might just win out in terms of he's the best guy on the board for the Cleveland Browns, so they have to pay him a substantial amount of money. So although his play hadn't, warranted that type of, that type of money. So, but yeah, he's going to probably win out just through process of elimination. But you never know if he make a push these next 2-3 weeks. He can always blame his shoulder on why he didn't play well over the past 3 or 4 weeks. But I think he'll end up in Cleveland.
I think what it's going to come down to is what Baker is looking for money-wise. If Baker comes in and says, I want the whole bank and the franchise, I think they'll explore every option they can to get rid of him. If he comes in and is reasonable, which I think would be a bad move, because I think players should always get as much money as possible. But if he comes in and says, listen, I want to be able to prove myself, give me a prove me deal, pay me as a middle-class quarterback, and I can show you that I could be the guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. I think they stick with him. So I think it's really going to come down to what Baker does. If he comes in and says, listen, I want Patrick Mahomes' money, give me, $800 million, and we'll see where we go. I think the Browns instantly pick up the phone and be like, all right, we'll find anybody else. But if he comes in and says, hey, listen, we can stick with whatever he's making out, $15, $18 million a year. Like, let's try to build something here. I think they stay with him.
Yeah, I think he stays in Cleveland. I think that progressive contract he got there in Cleveland is a sweet deal, man. And they'll cover up the difference of whatever the Browns don't make, I'm sure.
I mean, I know you NFL guys, professional athletes, and I never begrudge what anybody makes. You've entered into the most exclusive country club of all time. Congratulations. It's amazing. Everybody plays sports. You got there. However, I also look at, hey, man, they're offering you $20 million a year. You don't have to move. You're set up. You're comfortable. That's a lot of dough. Like you're set, your family's set, everyone's set. Like I getting competitive with money when maybe you're happy in a place. To me, that it doesn't seem like guys that often choose that, and I don't really understand it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me ask you this. Where does Baker go if he's not in Cleveland? Who's going to pick him up, right? Who else is going to pay him that kind of money? I don't know many teams looking for obviously a subpar quarterback or average quarterback to pay him, top dollar, man. So I think his options are limited as well.
Listen, if you look at if Houston unloads Deshaun Watson, they could look to get him. Detroit, they need a quarterback. I think they'd be happy to pay him. So when you look at it, when you're looking at, and you got to take away the numbers, it's Cleveland saying, hey, listen, we're going to pay you $20 million. You don't have to move. You don't have to do anything. And then all of a sudden, Houston's like, listen, we'll pay you $30 million. And you come down here. You throw your hands up. You're like, listen, I'm unless the Browns are going to match where I can stay here, I'm out quickly because how are you going to pass that up?
I get it, but let me just ask you this, Nick Mangold, what do you do differently in your life if you made $20 million a year to $30 million? What extra thing are you adding on to your life that you wouldn't do making $20 million a year?
Carmen, you don't even want to know. I'd kill for an extra $10 million. That would be amazing.
Orlando, like, would you buy an island? What would you do? I don't like. Take me into that life. I want to learn. Like, what is it? For those of us in the regular world here, like to make that much dough. Like, how would your life change? Would you buy? Would you get? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think, and Nick kind of spoke on it now. When you're in the game, extra $10 million doesn't seem like a lot because you're making 20. But 10, 15 years out the game, that extra $10 million means a lot more because you're like, dude, I could do, you can do, tons of things with an extra $10 million in your bank account, obviously per year. So you're like, dude, yeah, in the moment, but, when you retire, you're like, dude, I wish that extra 50 million, if you do the math, it's just like, dude, that changes lives. Different. It puts you in a different stratosphere.
Shoot. You even think about, when you're at the tail end and you get offered that one year contract, and, it's a couple $1 million. You're like, you know what? I've done. I've played my time. I'm going to call it up. And then, 5 years later, you're sitting there. Listen, if I had made that $4 million, $2 million after taxes, that would be sitting. We could go on that vacation to Fiji. Like, we could be doing it. Like, you're like, you know what? Maybe we could get that property in Cabo, and
absolutely.
It would be a little different. So you start breaking it down. You're like, well, listen, after I pay my agent and I pay taxes and I got the $2 million extra, that's $2 million more than I have now. Like you start running through, like, what can I do with that $2 million that we don't have but could have had because I gave up and said, I'd rather spend time with the family, or this injury just isn't gonna get me there. Like you start thinking about those things.
I know. I could have been a third tackle sitting somewhere on the bench somewhere and collecting a check. And I was like, nah, I don't need it at the time. So I'm like, dude, I could have bought my boat. I could have bought a big boat or something, man, whatever it might have been. Just because in retirement, you think completely different than when you were playing. So,
see, I didn't know you then, Orlando. But if you had called up Carm, I would have been like, dude, take the money, hang out. You're gonna be on the big brown couch soon enough.
I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's look to see your future, be your future. I'm looking for total rebuilds. We want to give teams the courage to, hey, listen, know where you are in life, and sometimes you got to go down before you can come back up. So I'm thinking about the Seahawks, who have a huge decision with Russell Wilson. The Browns are an interesting one. Maybe you consider doing a full rebuild. The Giants, who we'll get to with Nick, that's out there. And then there's other teams that, maybe you're trying to scratch and claw and get your way there, but you're just not ready yet. And maybe getting more draft picks makes sense. Lions, Texans, etc. Who, if you're recommending of the bottom not making the playoff teams, Orlando, who are you saying, look, just stay in the rebuild mode, get as many picks as you can, trade your assets, and play for another day?
I think the Detroit Lions, you mentioned them. One thing about that team, they fight hard. They won some tough games over the past month. And obviously Dan Campbell's just inspirational story. But I think they got a ton of draft picks through that Jared Goff trade. So I think they'll be set up. They have to choose the right pieces of that puzzle. But I think once they got a good offensive line, they play hard, just add a few more pieces, and they have a shot to do something here and win some ball games in the upcoming year. So I'm looking at the Detroit Lions. I don't think Cleveland's ready for a rebuild. I think they just have a quarterback issue, but they have a ton of talent on their defense. Their offensive line is good, and I think those two teams, especially the Detroit Lions, build through the draft, build through free agency, and I think they'll be a better ball club in the next couple of years.
The one I'm looking at is the Seahawks. They have underperformed completely, and you find that kind of shocking because you do have Russell Wilson, and we always say that the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. So if you have a quarterback who can play the game and get you wins, yet you're not getting the wins, you have issues. So if I were the Seahawks, we talked about teams looking for a trade. I'd see, how much can I get for Russell Wilson and just start over and do a full rebuild, take those draft picks that you could get for him, and build it back up to what it was. Because right now it doesn't seem to be working.
Let me ask you guys, do you guys think Pete Carroll, it's time for Pete Carroll to go in Seattle? It just seems like, just watching their games, guys don't seem inspired like they once were. I know the talent is different, but he seemed like he's outgrown his time there in Seattle. You guys feel that way or no?
I would agree with that. I think he's gotten to the point where, it's that longevity. They haven't been winning as much as they had been. So, once you get into that spiral, I think it would make sense. I don't know if they're going to do it, but it would make sense to part ways. I know probably Pete Carroll is not going to hang it up on his own. He's going to have to be told that he's got to go. And I don't know if Seattle is ready to make that move yet. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it would not shock me.
I've always enjoyed the Pete Carroll energy, but I would also look at who can I get? Is there someone I'm excited about? And if there was, then I think full scale rebuild Seattle to me makes sense as well. I mean, they were offered 3 first-round draft picks for Russell Wilson last year by the Bears, and they said no. Like, Orlando, would you, along with Nick's point, would you look? I'm making the best deal that I can make for Russell Wilson. Period. This offseason, we're going forward here.
Yeah, you have to make that. You have to make that deal. If somebody's offering you 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson, because you have to understand, whoever's in the GM or that president, you have to understand where your team is, right? And I think they were just delusional. I think they thought, obviously they could win more this year. But yeah, you have to make that play. Send Russell, which I think is a good move for both ball clubs. Chicago could use Russell Wilson. But if somebody's offering you 3 first-rounders, you almost got to take that deal and understand where your organization is. And it's probably time to rebuild. I don't think Russell and Sierra wants to be in Seattle anymore anyway. So I think it's probably a good time to make a move and do a complete tear down and rebuild.
I mean, quarterback hell, though, is a tough spot, right, Nick? I mean, look at your Jets. That's just, you're constantly searching, and when you get in that spot, you just don't know when you're ever going to get out of it.
Yeah, we've been spinning that wheel since I got there in 2006. I mean, we had Chad for 2 years, then we did Brett Favre, then we did Sanchez for 5, and then we Geno Smith, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick, and then Sam Darnold, and now Zach Wilson. So, I mean, those tires have been spinning, and it's tough. So I understand that the frightfulness for Seattle to say, hey, listen, we're going to get rid of our, franchise quarterback. That makes no sense. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like he wants to be there. They aren't winning with him. What else are you going to do? You gotta try, and you gotta hope that maybe you have the people in the organization that can say, hey, listen, we can find the next Russell Wilson. And so that's all you can really hope for. But I've seen it since 2006 to now 2021, where we as the Jets have been spinning our tires. And I got my fingers crossed that we have found our franchise quarterback in Zach Wilson. So, fingers crossed and hope for the best.
All right, let's go top of the AFC where they have found their franchise quarterback in the Kansas City Chiefs, who've had an amazing, let's call it that, rebound from where they were at when they were under 500 after 7 weeks of the season, now sitting clear as the clear 1 seed. Who, in your mind, Nick, is the toughest, most likely challenger for Kansas City in the AFC right now?
I hate to say it because of what they've been, they've been up and down, but I feel like the only real contender is the Bills. You look at New England, while they've been playing great defense and running the ball, they've struggled the past 2 weeks. And the Titans just aren't there unless they get Derrick. If they get Derrick Henry back, that could be a big boost for them. I don't see, in the way that the AFC has been, kind of shifting and moving about, I don't see any real contender to the Chiefs right now. The way the Chiefs have been playing defense, Patrick Mahomes playing lights out. I saw the graphic that they showed at their game. They had the naughty list and the nice list. I think it started, they were 3-4 to start the season, and they're a 7-0 run. You look at the statistics of the defense and how they've changed from those first 7 games. It's remarkable. I think they gave up 10 turnovers the first 7. They've now since taken, I think, 11 turnovers. So, they have done a full-scale switch over and playing great ball. I'm a little concerned. The only thing that has me pause a little bit on it is, maybe they peaked too soon. They got hot a little too soon. But at the same time, I think they're rolling, and I just don't see anybody stopping them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Buffalo Bills are probably the top contender, but I'm going to continue with my same theme I have the past few weeks. The Indianapolis Colts. Nobody's really talking about them but me. But I just think what Jonathan Taylor's doing in that running game, man, they got some big guys up front that can run the ball, and their defense is playing really good football. As long as they can run the ball and not put the game in Carson Wentz's hand, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be a tough out in the playoffs once they get in. But the Tennessee Titans is another team. If Derrick Henry comes back with fresh legs and healthy, they're a problem for any team in the NFL. If they can run the ball and the way they do and play solid defense, I think those 3 teams will be my top 3 contenders to take KC out. And you're always concerned about KC's defense a little bit. And then obviously, are they peaking too soon, to your point? They're playing really good football right now, but they could easily revert back to playing week 2 or 3 football the way they were playing. So it should be a fun inning, fun playoff for whoever those matchups may be. But those are the 3 top teams I think can give them a challenge.
It's interesting that neither of you mentioned the New England Patriots. Orlando, do you look at them as pretenders versus contenders? Do you see New England as a team that could win a playoff game?
No, I think we talked about it a little bit throughout the season, just that rookie quarterback. And we're kind of seeing a little bit of it now. The more defensive coordinators get a book on these young quarterbacks later on in the season, throughout the playoffs, they disguise coverages. They do a ton of things that'll make it difficult on a rookie quarterback. He's had a phenomenal year, not taking anything away from him. But now this is the time in the season where the cream kind of rises to the top, and the good teams really show their head. And the quarterback, it has to make plays. You can't get away with throwing 3 passes and winning a ball game in the playoffs. It comes down to scheme and those types of things. So I think, although he's had a great year, they'll make a nice run in the playoffs, but I don't think they will have enough, and in terms of their quarterback play to win a championship.
Yeah, I think New England is very good at scheming and able to kind of hide a little bit that rookie quarterback. But when you get down to the nitty gritty of the end of the season, trying to make playoffs and getting in, like Orlando said, defensive coordinators now have their book on you. They can scheme, they can, find your tells, cover things. So it's going to get very difficult for them. If they get in, I could see them maybe winning 1, but that's probably about it. It's such a tough road to go down. And I've been saying it. Rookie quarterbacks, just I'm not feeling them.
All right, we are at my favorite part of today's show, which is New Year's resolutions. I don't know if you guys do these, but you're going to do them today, at least to the best of your ability, hopefully. Okay, I want 3 resolutions for one each for 3 teams in the NFL, what they can do better in 2022. New Year's resolutions, if they're not going to do them, we here at Big Man Bets are doing them for you. Nick, I'm going to have you lead off here. 3 teams, give me their resolutions.
First one is the Seattle Seahawks resolution to blow it up, tear it all down, and start over. Get yourselves right, and figure out how to get back to the winning ways. Resolution 2 is build for the Chicago Bears. Build around Justin Fields. I feel like they have something going there. He has been playing pretty well, and I want to see them do well. That's the Ohio State homer in me. So I want to see that happen. And I think resolution 3 would be for the Cleveland Browns. Please stop being the Browns and just, you have the opportunity to win. You have a great running game. Defense is going strong. I know there's been injuries and whatnot. But it always seems like, hey, Cleveland's got this great story going, and then it just kind of crashes and burns. I hope for next year, they have this great story going and they actually do well with it.
Yeah.
Courage for the Seahawks, the Bears to believe in youth, and the Browns to trust anyone but yourself.
Exactly.
Just want to underline that. All right, Orlando, you're up.
Man, Nick shared one. My first resolution was fire Matt Nagy in Chicago. Bring somebody in that can help develop, Justin Fields into into his strong suits as a quarterback. Because I think this kid has a ton of talent, and I think he could be really successful if they surround him with the right pieces and coaches and development. And then I think that's my current theme for most Jacksonville Jaguars. Hire Byron Leftwich to go down and develop and be in Jacksonville. Let's turn that organization around. You have Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. He can do a lot of great things, great arm talent, and that. And then, obviously just get a coach in there that can help develop that guy. And then Pittsburgh, let's make a decision on quarterbacks. I think they have a good nucleus at defense. Do you move on from Ben? Ben, obviously you will, and make that decision, make that play for, a top-tier quarterback. So get a quarterback, surround him. I think Mike Tomlin's probably the best coach in the National Football League, and hopefully they make the right decision in terms of who's their next quarterback. So I don't know if that's a resolution, but
I'm hearing a lot of courage in our resolutions here. Rip Band-Aids, move forward. Time to live your life to the best of your abilities. I like it. Any gambling resolutions? All of our gambling, by the way, done with WynnBET, WYNNBET.com. Do we have any gambling resolutions that we have learned from 2021? Orlando, you're back in the contest here with a 3-0 week, 23-23. I'd like to apologize to you. I buried you. I said it was over, but you're 3 games back of 26-20. Nick Mangold, who went 1-2 last week. So do we have any gambling resolutions?
Yeah, never give up on the season. As long as there's time on the clock, man, you got a chance to come back and be in this thing. So never give up on your gambling, your season, man.
Mine's an easy one. Never bet on the Giants again.
Let's make our picks this week. As mentioned, Orlando 3-0, which means by Big Man Bets rules, you go first this week with your pick of the week. Nick, I see it on your face right now. You're sweating this a little bit. You're feeling the heat.
Feeling the heat. It was, being the 1 and 2 man is not fun. I get Orlando's pain, but we're gonna fix it this week.
There we go. No lack of confidence. Orlando, who's your pick of the week?
My pick, I'm sticking with my Los Angeles Rams, 3.5 over the Baltimore Ravens. I just think the Rams are playing really good football right now. Not sure what Baltimore is coming into the game with. I know Lamar Jackson has been out the past couple weeks, but I think our defense is starting to play. Matt Stafford and that team is really starting to put some pieces together, put some long drives together, and win some ball games. So I'm going with my Rams over the Ravens.
I'm sticking with the hot hand of the Packers. I think Aaron, he's just playing lights out. So Packers -6.5 over Vikings.
Orlando going with the heart. It gets a little dangerous, but sometimes the heart comes through. Let's go upset. Nick, you're up.
So actually going head-to-head against my good friend Orlando here, I will take the Ravens +3.5 over the Rams. Rams coming to the East Coast, 1 o'clock game, always difficult for the West Coast teams. We don't know what's going to happen with Lamar, but I got a feeling that he's going to be coming back this week. And so 1 o'clock games are always tough for those West Coast teams. I'm going Ravens +3.5.
Nice. Me, I'm going because you guys talked about my 1-point spread last week. I am going Jacksonville Jaguars 15.5 versus +15.5 versus New England. I think they're going to play hard. They're going to get that win one of these days. Just as they're motivated a little bit. I think the game will be much closer than 15.5 points.
I have lost way too much money on the Jaguars this year, so good luck with that one. I like it. I like contrarian, but the Jaguars have been killing me. All right. Over-unders, winbet.com for all your gambling needs, WYNNBET.com. Orlando, who you going with the number?
I'm going over 41, Miami Dolphins versus the Tennessee Titans. I think that's going to be a low-scoring game. I think both, obviously Miami coming off this Monday night game. Tennessee not knowing who they have some injuries. I think it'll be well under the 41 points. So good game though.
All right. So I also have the Dolphins Titans, but we'll go head and go with the over 41 points. I like points, and so unders have killed me the past couple of weeks. So I'm going over.
This is making the competition even more interesting, the head-to-head plays here. And you guys are kind of following through on the New Year's resolutions, which you're trying to give courage. So, Nick, you're basically saying I'm going to take you out or Orlando's, well, I'm coming straight at you. So, Money where the mouth is on big man bets, damn it. That's how we like it.
Love that we make our picks independent. And yet this week we have two going against each other.
We're going against each other, absolutely.
I was given a little too much credit that you were like trying to have it, but that's how it's working out. So I think that's a beautiful thing. Hey, 2 weeks to go, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year from all of us here at Big Man Bets. It's going to be a hell of a playoff coming up, but let's enjoy the rest of the regular season. Gentlemen, good to be with you.
Thanks, man.
Happy New Year.